Since I have an abundance of tasks in this apparently never-ending story, I choose to do this one, which is I'm going to put in some electrical here, run some wires, mount some boxes, so I can have a nice solid outlet to plug into instead of one that's dangling there or strung all the way around the room and it was installed in a less than attractive manner. But before we can be installing any of these boxes, I've got to try to come up with a distance here which is roughly 7/8 to match the door frames, and unfortunately it's not a consistent thing, but yeah, this one here looks like it's closer to 1 inch than it is anything else. But that's okay if I'm going to put lath face these boards, and if it's a little under, I can always use drywall mud and taper it out, make it look right. The problem is when it's a little high, is it seems like it might be down here. That's a little over 3/4, not quite 7/8. Maybe I can find some of this lath, it's not consistent thickness. Maybe I can find one that's a little bit narrower for that part down there, and it's more like 1 inch up here, and probably goes back to 3/4 up there. But I'm going to have to put lath spacers on these studs before I can do mounting any electrical boxes. So that'll be the first step. Then I'm going to mount, since this wire came down and these things that were here are like sconces, I guess, that they had. Rather than try to backtrack, I'm assuming it comes out of a box up here on top of this ceiling joist. I'm just going to come here because I got to go down for an outlet anyway, and then go over to the switch box. And once I get the octagon hanger in the rafters there, then I'll just run the wire up and over. But I can get this mounted and get the outlet mounted, so I have a nice plug to plug into, and this circuit is separate from that circuit, but they're both on the upstairs circuit, which is weird because if there's 2 different apartments and somebody happened to flip one off, create a short or something, and have it snap, the breaker snap, then the outlets in this room die. So I'm thinking if I can get at least one outlet wired from downstairs, you'll have some recourse for lighting besides flashlights or candles, till such time as, you know, if this is continued to be used as a 2-family arrangement, that you could at least plug a lamp in and have control over that. So That's kind of the thinking at this point. But, and I'm going to be running a conduit anyhow to get over to here, this outer wall, and that conduit will go from that box and then come out in the box, and that's a way we can get either the fiber network directly up here or come up with a Cat 6 cable through the conduit if you want to hardwire a computer into the router. So I plan on doing that, making this kind of an office space. But it could be a bedroom as well. But you'll have an internet connection, a high-speed internet connection. So, first thing, I was having the guys do the demo in there. I had them save a whole bunch of lath, and this is what's going to snap on to. I'm going to tack this up. A handy dandy little brad nailer, and hopefully this comes out to 1/2 inch of the drywall. Like I said, this spacing down here, and I can only assume that the problem with the spacing is wavy 2x4s, but I can't imagine that they shave these. Yeah, I'm going to be like an 1/8 inch too high down here. I'm going to have to get one maybe that narrows them as it goes down. Let's see, what do we got? Yeah, it looks like the same situation at the top, so yeah, with plaster, it's not a problem, because you know, you just fill in as much plaster as you need, and it's really bad up there at that corner. I'm gonna have to get something thinner along here, I guess. The middle is fine, but get down there. Now this frame on this door looks pretty consistent. Again, it seems to be a little bit just 1/2 inch, and that'll probably work. 1/2 inch there. But then it's starting to get a little too thick again. It's a problem with these old houses. So I guess I should try to find some thinner examples of this lath, use them around the door, and then just make up the difference with the drywall mud and taper it out and make it look as best as you can. Because you want this room to look nice. Now I had little issues around when I did the area down there where the router is at the top of the gateway to hell, door to the cellar. It sticks out a little bit beyond the frame, and the trim won't sit quite right, but it's utility space. I wasn't too concerned about that. I can always deal with that when I go to put the trim back up, if I even bother at that point. But like I said, space that's not living space. You may notice I got a hat on here because of all this blowing in insulation. As you saw earlier, it tends to rain down a bit. Try to keep it off my hair as much as possible, what little I've got left. So yeah, that's the plan. I'm on a box, run this into it. From there we'll go up again, since we already have holes in this top plate. I'll just go up the one hole, down the hole, put the outlet down there, come across, go down to the box for the switches, and that way I won't be, even though there's some holes already in these studs here that have been hacked through, I won't be creating any more holes, and try to tack them to the 2x4s and make it look a little tidy. So that's where I'm going to go from here. So I got that project to do, and I guess we'll do it now. I have my handy dandy little brad nailer here, and I'm going to go ahead and attach this lath to these two studs, because the box up high for this connection, and then the outlet box on here. Get this much wired up, get the outlet box, and move on down to the other side. Doesn't really matter which side I put up, I guess, but I'm going to leave room at the top here, because the ceiling is going to have to go up first, only because if I put this on and then put a 1/2 inch drywall, I don't have a whole lot of the wood to screw the drywall in for the ceiling. So I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap, and that way we can get the drywall up, and then we'll do the walls after that. So this one's a little cockeyed. Yep, that's why I'm wearing the hat. Yep, there goes the air compressor. I've got it down at the bottom of the steps. Got my hose ran up here, just so we don't have to listen to that thing up close and personal like. Alright, that'll get me the mount for up there. Let's go ahead and attach one down low here. Ooh, I missed the nail. Didn't get that one cleaned up completely. Let's attach this one down here. Okay, now when I go to mount the boxes, say like this outlet box, it's got little nibs here on the side to kind of give you the depth you want to be, so it sticks out through the drywall, and then you just hammer that thing into the stud. So let me get a measurement. We'll hang that thing, and I'll figure out where I need to put this one here, and get that hung up. Start doing a little bit of wiring. I have the boxes mounted, the outlet box down here, and the middle one up here, which the ladder is currently blocking the view of. And there were some holes already drilled here, so I'm going to see if I can't get this wire up through this hole. Well, maybe that one doesn't go through. Okay. That one does, this one does not, apparently. So, alright, coming out where all that insulation is. That's why I wore the hat. And I'll get it brought up over this pile of insulation. And give myself a little bit of slack here. No. Move this ladder over. Let's see if we can't get it through this hole. It's here. Alrighty. Yeah. Whee! It's snowing. Alright, I'll give myself a little working distance. Hopefully that hole's big enough. I'm going to need another wire going up. Let's see. This hole where the wire's coming down the wall seems a little bit bigger. Let's see if we can partner up to that one. Because I'm going to need to put another wire up to go over to the switch box for the ceiling light. Use that other hole to get the wire down the wall over to where the switch will go. Alrighty then. A little dusty. So we'll get this insulation split, cut off, get that mounted in the box, and we'll run that over. Get it run into the outlet box. Okay, got that connected to the other box there. And I'm going to use these little straps. Tidy this up. Keep this wire. Well, I guess I am if I keep dropping them. Keep this wire back and out of the way in case somebody gets the marvelous idea of driving a screw or something through the drywall. This way that'll keep the wire back far enough, unless they go hog wild with the screw, and use something like a 2.5 incher or something, but keep this back far enough from the outer edge, and I'll run that wire into the box and put another strap down there close to act as a strain relief, so you can work with the wires and connect them to the outlet and push them into the box without everything all kind of moving around on you. I made this little vacuum cleaner out of a garbage can and some hoses and fittings and a blower that I bought, sitting behind it there. I'm going to use that to pick up the mess I made over here, and before I proceed, start kneeling in it, let's get this sucked up. Now I can kneel here without getting a whole bunch of that insulation on me. So, alright, let's, I don't need these things for this kind of work. Let's get these wires skinned. Need to take about a inch of the insulation off, so that you've got enough wire to work with to bend around the screw. You want to make a good connection with the screw on the outlet or the switch, whatever it is you're connecting. You want to wrap these wires around said screw before you tighten them down, and that's where the needle nose pliers come in that I didn't bring over here with me. And I just quickly grab them puppies and reposition myself. Now, what we got here, they also provide push-in connections for the wires. I'm a little old-fashioned in that I like the screws. Now, when you bend the wires, you need to bend them so that they go in the direction of the screw, and then I also like to tighten a little bit more around that screw so there's plenty of surface area for the screw to press against, and get that down nice and tight. So that's the hot side, the black wire. In most cases, it could also be red or another color, but white is always going to be your neutral. That's the return for the current flow from the device that you've got plugged into it. And we get that up under there. And get it squeezed down a bit. I guess that's good. And clamp this one down. Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, let's get a little more bend on that hook. That down on there. Of course, it would have to fight me, wouldn't it? There you go. And see if we can pull that around it anymore. And this one tightened down. Now, the other important wire is this bare wire here, and that goes to the ground, and hopefully the guys who ran these wires from the box made sure that they connected all these ground leads from point to point, all the way from the circuit box. And if they did, then we should be good to go. And this wire is in the event something fails in the connections here, that it will carry the current and then of course if you have a three-prong device that you're hooking into it, then that carries this ground all the way to that device. Most of lamps or most electronics don't use but 2 wires, although they use the polarized bigger part of the connection versus the smaller. For me, I always like wiring these things like this. There's arguments, all sorts of ways about how to wire these things up. Frankly, this looks like a surprised face. It's just a little fun I have with what I'm doing. Looks like, oh no. So it just looks upside down otherwise to me, but I'm just going to temporarily mount this to the box. This way I have an outlet here in the space to plug stuff into that is a little more secure, a little safer. When the drywall goes up, we'll take this out and mount the drywall. So these things then should sit if the hole's cut in the right place. Sometimes I measure twice and still cut wrong. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. And I want to make sure that, actually, I guess I should have run these screws in. Of course, it's a plastic box. It's not that big of a deal, but you don't need them sticking out. They're positioned so that you can get the wire under it and then just tighten it down. We don't need these screws right now, so we'll just get them out of the way. And I'm just looking to make sure that my bare neutral, my spare ground wire here is away from everything. It's on that side of the white wire, away from the hot side. So that's mounted in there good enough for now. We'll be able to take care of that. And now what I will do is go up to the box here up high and get those wires connected. Alright, now let's see here. We need to strip these wires so we can twist them together a bit. Now, whoever wired this place up went a little overboard. They used 12 gauge wire, and it's a little excessive in most cases. Most cases, circuits are like the outlets that you have are rated for 15 amps, and you only need 14 gauge wire. Now the newer insulation is also a little thinner than the old insulation, and so this looks a lot thinner. But for most circuits, like outlets, you only need 14 gauge wire. That's rated for 15 amp circuits. And actually, This looks like it's got nylon coating on it, not just the white plastic to indicate the neutral, but there's another coating on top of that. Makes it nice and smooth. Wire is rated not only by the size of the wire, but also by the insulation. If you should be happening to run a circuit near its rated limit, like 15 amps for 14 gauge wire, it may, begin to heat. And so depending on the type of insulation the wire has will determine how much heat it can take without failing and causing a short, and then theoretically a fire and a disastrous event like that. So whenever I'm pulling, and in most places they sell it just as a norm anyway, they sell THHN rated wire. It's got a smooth nylon coating on it, and that makes it rated at 90C degrees, and but generally you don't ever have to really worry about that kind of thing. It's just another little, unless you're bringing in a service to a new service to a house, you may want to consider things like that. But as long as you size your wire properly and then don't overload it, don't plug too many things into one outlet, you're going to be in pretty good shape. So let me get a couple of wire nuts and then connect these things up here. And did I ever take them out of my pocket? No, I didn't. Here they are. Now these are red ones. These are typically used for 3-wire, and I'm going to have 3-wire in here at some point anyway. So I'll use them for now, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get these things lined up and get these wire nuts on here. And those wires will twist around in there, give good connection, and well, maybe I'll get a screw in there just so I can ground this box while I'm at it, and I'll tie these 2 grounds together. I'll come back to that, finalize that when I get the wire, get the box for the switch mounted over by the door and get the wire run over to it. That's the last wire to come in here, get them all connected up, and this part of it will be done. But for right now, I can go turn the circuit breaker on, and I'll have electricity down to that outlet. I've got the box mounted for the switches. It's going to be 2 switches, one for the light, one for the fan. Go up through the existing holes and then back down into our common connection point here, and I'll hook that up once I do the carpentry up here, and then can mount the box in the ceiling and wire that up. Then I'll finalize these connections. But after I had gotten done putting in the new box and the new outlet here, I went over to take a look at the outlet. It was over here in the corner, and I've since removed the other wire, but then they tied into this outlet here and just dug through the plasterboard and ran the wire here. Of course, they were going to cover it up with paneling anyway, so you know, then they mounted a box there, then ran the wire around the corner and mounted a box over there. And the first thing I noticed about this was that this wire has got to be some of the earliest form of Romex. Of course, Romex is a brand name. It's a non-metallic NM wire, but it only has the neutral and the hot. There's no ground in here. So, you know, they just tied into this thing and went around to the other outlet, and that's not bad enough that the outlets aren't grounded, but they also had the black and the white tied. They reversed the polarity on the outlets, and I'm not sure what kind of mental state these people were in when they did this job, but that just, even if you're colorblind, you know the difference between black and white. It's just unbelievable. So what I did, just to be sure, even though I've connected the grounds, in fact I've got the ground mounted to the box, so the box is grounded with all this here, and so I got my handy dandy little circuit checker, and come down here, pull this out for now, and you plug this little puppy in, and you can see the two yellow lights are on, and that indicates a correct connection. So the hot and the neutral aren't flipped, and the ground is in place. So I was glad to see that, at least in this wire that came from the panel over that's in the bathroom, that is then connected into the panel downstairs. And so we've got a good connection here, so that's all good. But I'm going to have to come up with a different source of, either I'm going to have to replace this wire. It seems to run into a box that's up there, you can see it in the corner, or just abandon that and come in from a completely different direction, which is what I'm kind of thinking about, because if this room is not part of the upstairs unit, the current opening notwithstanding, then why would it be wired with the upstairs, coming off the upstairs sub panel? So I was thinking of seeing if I can get wire down this wall here into the first floor, connect it at some point, and then bring that up for the outlets here, and then do the same thing for this south wall, and then for this west wall here. we shall see how that works out. But for now, this is my little wiring job. So, all right, moving on.